This series' objective is to examine how conflict, particularly when framed around religion or identity, disrupts national development, displaces opportunity, and derails long-term infrastructure, education, and governance strategies. The series will contrast stalled nations with those who chose stability and strategy, using case studies from across the world. Conflict is loud, but the silence it leaves behind is louder. Abandoned schools, halted projects, and displaced futures. The religion narrative problem. Labeling crises and conflict as religious wars oversimplifies root causes, such as land disputes, poor governance, and economic exclusion. This framing fuels division and violence, deflects from structural failures, makes it harder to unite communities under development goals. Core message: when we mislabel, we misdiagnose, and we cannot fix what we refuse to see clearly. The real cost of tension on development. Investor flight from unstable regions. Displacement of youth and talent and pull-out from conflict-prone zones. Collapsed healthcare and education in affected areas. Infrastructure projects abandoned. Massive diversion of public funds to military, security. Reduced access to land and relocation of populations delays urban planning. Human capital loss. Youth in IDP camps instead of schools or jobs. International image damaged. Low tourism, investor caution, aid restrictions. Case examples where conflict stalled growth. Nigeria. Ongoing farmer-herder clashes framed as religious. Boko Haram. Over 3 million internally displaced people. Business flight. Blocked trade, closed schools. Stalled agriculture. Blocked regional trade, and relocation of businesses. Projects like schools, factories, and roads halted due to insecurity. IDP camps grow while infrastructure projects stall. Generations disconnected from education and opportunity. India. Years of long-term ethnic and religious unrest leads to curfews, conflict zones, economic exclusion. Internet shutdowns, destruction of property, restricted development. Negative impact on education, startups, and community development. Even with India's overall economic growth, conflict regions are underdeveloped and militarized. Myanmar. International isolation and sanctions imposed. Halted growth. Mass displacement due to ethnic, religious persecution. Entire regions cut off from development. Ethnic and religious persecution of Rohingya Muslims. Collapsed tourism, and mass displacement. Lost decades of potential development. Sri Lanka. Years of ethnic religious civil war equals to tourism collapse, brain drain, debt crisis. Internal turmoil and civil war has led to civil war debt, huge debt crisis and long recovery period. What drives division and prevents development? Weak institutions plus lack of conflict resolution frameworks equals generational trauma. Media bias and misinformation. Ignorance plus lack of civic education equals fertile ground for manipulation. Weak institutions allow elites to hijack identity narratives for power and influence. Now, let's contrast with countries that chose progress over division. While some nations remain trapped by division, others chose to rise above it, choosing strategy over sentiment, infrastructure over ideology. China. Prioritized order, infrastructure and economic vision. Despite its own ethnic, religious complexities, e.g., Tibet, Xinjiang, China chose a centralized, development-first approach. Massive investment in infrastructure, urbanization, and industrial zones. Built 150-plus cities in 40 years. Focused on economic inclusion, not sectarian division. Prioritized order, stability, infrastructure. Suppressed divisive narratives in favor of a national growth agenda. Result: lifted 800-plus million people out of poverty, became world's second largest economy. Key lesson: national development was prioritized over identity narratives. Progress became the unifying vision. United Arab Emirates. tolerance and smart diversification. Multi-faith, multicultural society with a majority expat population could have been deeply divided, but instead institutionalized and policized tolerance, economic pragmatism, and futuristic planning. Built cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi by focusing on infrastructure, tourism, tech, trade, innovation and openness. Minimized religious rhetoric in governance. Emphasized unity under national identity. Key lesson. Stability plus vision equal a magnet for global talent, investment and growth, which built Dubai and Abu Dhabi into global cities. Malaysia embraced multiculturalism with national cohesion. Ethnic and religious diversity. Malay Muslims, Chinese Buddhists, Indian Hindus faced tensions in early years post-independence but gradually shifted toward inclusive governance and economic strategy, thereby building an inclusive national development strategy. Prioritized and invested in education, manufacturing, tech and industry, e.g., Penang Tech Valley. Embraced a multicultural identity and built a functional multi-ethnic society with rising middle class. Key lesson. Navigating diversity through policy and planning, not propaganda. Where others fought over identity, these nations built around vision. Where others argued over power, they focused on planning. While some countries continue to frame every problem through the lens of religion or ethnicity, others chose to see the problem for what it truly is and to build instead. They chose roads over rhetoric, innovation over ego, and opportunity over outdated divisions. Development isn't just about cement and steel. It's about mindset. It's about deciding what brings people together, not what tears them apart. Conclusion. Lessons for Africa, Asia and emerging nations. Peacebuilding is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite for development. Conflict cannot coexist with progress. We must prioritize unity-driven policies, not identity-driven propaganda. Invest in education, infrastructure, and justice reform. Countries that succeed realize that billions of people on Earth can never ever be the same and choose unity, not uniformity. They build systems that work for everyone, not just narratives that work for the few. Every country must decide, do we fight over who we are, or do we build what we need to become? Subscribe to DevSphere for in-depth insights on how strategy, governance, and development intersect, and how nations can move from chaos to construction.